My dad always thought he was the king of comedy, the kind of guy who would spend months planning a prank just to see the look of confusion on someone's face. But he never expected that his latest, hilarious, Thanksgiving gift would be the thing that dismantled our entire family tree in a single afternoon. I'm sitting here now, staring at a screen that tells me everything I thought I knew about my identity is a lie, and I honestly don't know if I should laugh at the irony or keep crying until I go numb. I need you guys to be the judge here. Was I wrong for pushing for the truth once the box was opened? Or should I have just let his joke stay a joke and protected the peace of a family that was built on a foundation of secrets? Tell me in the comments if you would have had the heart to stop, or if you would have burned it all down like I did. It all started on Thanksgiving, which has always been the biggest event of the year in our house. My dad, let's call him Robert, is a successful architect with a loud personality and an even louder laugh. And my mom, Sarah, is the glue that holds everything together, or so I thought. We had the whole extended family over, aunts, uncles, cousins, the works. The house smelled like rosemary and roasted turkey, and the wine was flowing. After dinner, while we were all sitting in the living room in a post-turkey coma, my dad stood up with this mischievous glint in his eye that usually means someone is about to get embarrassed. He handed me a small, wrapped box and said he'd found the perfect gift to settle the family legacy once and for all. He'd been making jokes for years about how I didn't look like him. I have dark, curly hair and olive skin, while he's a fair-skinned, blue-eyed guy with straight blonde hair. And he always joked that the mailman must have had some very specific DNA. It was a running gag that I usually just rolled my eyes at because I have my mom's eyes and her temperament, so I never thought twice about it. I unwrapped the gift to find a popular DNA testing kit, and the whole room erupted in laughter. Dad was clutching his sides, telling everyone he just wanted to make sure he wasn't paying tuition for a stranger. My mom laughed too, though looking back, her laugh was a little high-pitched, a little too tight. She told him he was being ridiculous and to let me enjoy my dessert, but Dad insisted. He made me spit into the tube right there at the dinner table, egged on by my cousins who thought it was the funniest thing they'd seen all year. I did it, laughing along with them, thinking it would be a cool way to see if we really did have that distant Italian heritage my grandma always bragged about. I sent the kit off the next morning, mostly forgetting about it as I went back to my life at university. The results hit my inbox about 6 weeks later, right as I was settling in for a long night of studying. I remember clicking the link with a sense of casual curiosity, expecting to see a pie chart full of Western European markers and maybe a surprise percentage of something exotic. But when the page loaded, my heart didn't just drop. It felt like it stopped beating entirely. There, at the top of the DNA matches section, was a list of names I didn't recognize. There was no Robert listed as my father. There wasn't even a match for any of his siblings or his parents, who I knew had taken the test years ago for genealogy hobbyism. Instead, there was a man listed as Chloe's family father with a name I'd never heard in my life, Julian Vance. I sat in my dorm room for 3 hours, refreshing the page, convinced the system was glitching or that I'd somehow swapped samples with someone else in the lab. I Googled Julian Vance, and my stomach turned when I saw a photo of a man who looked more like me than Robert ever had. He was a local artist in the town where my parents grew up, a man who had passed away 5 years ago. I didn't call my dad first. I called my mom. The silence on the other end of the line when I told her I'd gotten the results back was the loudest thing I've ever heard. It wasn't a silence of confusion. It was the silence of a woman who had been waiting for this phone call for 22 years. She didn't deny it. She just started sobbing, begging me not to tell my father, telling me that it was a one-time mistake during a rough patch in their marriage, and that Robert was my real father in every way that mattered. But how could I look at the man who raised me, the man who gave me that kit as a joke to assert his own humor, and not see the lie? So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. I was holding a biological grenade with the pin already pulled, and my mom was asking me to just keep holding it until it blew my own hand off. Before I tell you what happened when I went home that weekend to confront the man who thought he was settling the legacy, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have kept your mother's secret to save your father's heart, or would you have demanded the truth? I decided that I couldn't live with the lie. I drove home that Friday, my hands shaking on the steering wheel the entire time. When I walked through the door, my dad was in his recliner, watching a game, and he greeted me with the same, "Hey, kiddo." He'd used my whole life. The irony was physically painful. My mom was in the kitchen, her eyes red and puffy, looking at me with pure terror. I sat my dad down and told him we needed to talk about the Thanksgiving gift. He actually chuckled and asked if I'd found out I was royalty or something. I didn't say a word, I just handed him my phone with the results page open. I watched his face go from confused to squinting at the screen to a pale, ghostly white. The silence in the room was suffocating. He looked at the name Julian Vance, then at me, then at my mom who was now standing in the doorway, shaking. He didn't scream. He didn't throw anything. He just asked, in a voice so small I barely recognized it, "Is this true?" My mom fell to her knees, admitting everything: the brief affair, the timing, the fear that he would leave her if he knew. She told him she'd spent every day for 2 decades trying to be the perfect wife to make up for it. The aftermath was like watching a slow-motion car crash. My dad packed a bag and left that night. He didn't even look at me. In his eyes, I wasn't his daughter anymore. I was the physical evidence of the greatest betrayal of his life. For weeks, the house was a morgue. My parents are now in the middle of a messy divorce, and the funny dad I knew has been replaced by a bitter, hollowed-out man who won't return my texts. My extended family is split down the middle. Half of them blame me for ruining the family by not just staying quiet, while the other half is disgusted by my mom's deception. I lost my father, my sense of self, and my family's stability all because of a $99 plastic tube and a man who thought he was a comedian. I found out that Julian Vance's family didn't even know I existed, and reaching out to them has been a roller coaster of rejection and awkwardness. I've realized that family is a much more fragile concept than I ever imagined. Looking back, I realize that the truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes, it just leaves you standing alone in the wreckage of a life you didn't know was a lie. If there's any lesson here, it's that you should never go looking for answers unless you're prepared for the reality that the answer might destroy everything you love. Like this video if you were on my side and think the truth was necessary, even at this cost. Subscribe for more stories like this where the perfect life isn't always what it seems. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I do the right thing? Or did my dad's joke end up being the ultimate punchline at my expense? I'll see you all in the next story.